everybody, welcome to the newest episode of The Bearded Gamer Show. Of course, as always, I'm your host, the Bearded Gamer, Chris Arnone. Good news, bad news. So first up, I got a little piece of good news. Seems Prima, of course, the maker of a bajillion and a half strategy guides, has released an official Skyrim map app for mobile devices, and it's free. The bad news. All you get out of that free app is, of course, the major overworld view and the 9 major cities. That's it. If you want secondary locations, primary locations, things like, dragon priest masks, interior maps, all kinds of other things, it'll cost you. To get everything, it's $10, $9.99. You can buy smaller snippets of all these things for like 99 cents a piece. So, the free app, won't really do you a whole lot of good, especially if you got the fold-out one that came with most copies of the game. But, for $10, you could have a really nice in-depth map, or just, spend a little more than that and go buy the official strategy guide, but to each their own. All right, some more good news. Ninja Gaiden 3 is going to feature a dual language track. Yes, finally. Now, fans of the series have been clamoring for this for a while. And I think a lot of really Japanese games, there's a lot of games made in Japan, but some of them aren't distinctly Japanese, and some are. I think most people who buy really Japanese games like Ninja Gaiden or JRPGs like to have that dual language track. They like the option of hearing the original Japanese voices just with English subtitles. And we're finally going to get that with Ninja Gaiden 3. So that's very exciting for all Ninja Gaiden fans and fans of very Japanese games who don't speak Japanese. Or maybe those that do. Whatever. All right, some more good news. I just got lots of good news today. I don't know what else to tell you. Do you live in Europe or just have a European PSN account? Have you been looking, clamoring, scouring eBay to try and find the digital Devil Saga? The Shin Megami Tensei series by Atlus. Atlus for a long time, they didn't have a lot of money, and so all their games just had one fairly limited print run. And some of those, they sold very well, maybe slowly, but then eventually, of course, became very hard to find. The Shin Megami Tensei series is no exception to this, and Digital Devil Saga for PS2, difficult to find. Well, that's about to change. It's being brought over to the PlayStation Network very soon. Now, right now, this is just the European market, not the Japanese or North American market. But hey, like I said, all you have to do is have a European account, and you can still buy it if you can, just do the little conversion rate for, pounds or euros or whatever it is, instead of dollars. But that's very exciting for people who've been trying to find that game, and of course it's very difficult to find that indeed. Digital Devil Saga. Personally, I own it for PS2. It's fantastic. Very good play. I recommend you pick both of them up. Going to be available very soon on your PlayStation Network or Sony Entertainment Network. All right, last piece of good news. Seems the script for the sequel to X-Men First Class is already underway. Now, why do I say this is good news? Well, it's being done by the same guy who did the first one, and I thought X-Men First Class was very, very good. Long-time X-Men fan, very particular about people who are writing my comics for X-Men, the movies for X-Men, all that. And I really, really enjoyed First Class. Just thought it was a fantastic job. And Simon Kinberg is indeed writing the next one. He was talking to MTV, saying that this next one is going to focus more so than the first one, on Magneto. And I love the job that was done with Magneto, both acting and writing and everything. That's sort of how he becomes that villain. But that journey isn't done, because they're still sort of brothers. And I've always loved that relationship, that dynamic between Professor X and Magneto, that, they fight for a common cause, but they go about it in such radically different ways. And to see how this journey keeps moving forward, just very looking forward to it, so it should be wonderful. All right, enough with the good news, bad news. Let's find out what the top 10 selling games were. Software Soundoff. So what were the top 10 selling games worldwide for the first week of February? Of course, that'll be the week we're tracking on this one. Once again, always numbers are courtesy of VGCharts.com. So the number one seller A newcomer to this list is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. The 360 version sold 299,000 units. So this is a big step up from pretty much the entire month of January. A lot of games had trouble breaking 100,000 on any given week. So starting to see some big releases and picking up a little bit. Number 2, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Again, this time the PS3 version sold 194,000 units. Number 3, Final Fantasy XIII Part 2, the PS3 version, sold another 155,000 units. Number 4, Resident Evil Revelations, this is a 3DS title, sold 132,000 units. Number 5, another newcomer to the list, The Darkness 2. This is the 360 version, sold 115,000 units. All right, number 6, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Of course, it's not going to go away, but here's the kicker. The PS3 version is here at the number 6 spot, sold another 108,000 units. Coming in number 7, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the 360 version. This is the first time we've seen the two flip-flop on their sales for a week. Sold 87,000 units. Number 8, Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS. Once again, it just won't leave the list. Another 85,000 units sold. Number 9 is Just Dance 3 for the Wii, another huge seller, the perennial on this list for a while now. Another 83,000 units sold. And number 10, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. This time the PC version finally sold 77,000 units. So it's nice to see, an uptick, some games selling more copies. I think this list total is probably pretty close to what the total was for all of January. January is just always really slow for game releases and game sales. So things starting to pick up again as we get some big releases coming down the pipe. All right, let's finish up with a controller confessional. Now, we as gamers have fought an uphill battle for a long time. For a long time, we've been seen as sort of these antisocial shut-ins, people who live in their parents' basements and just spend all their money on video games and do nothing productive in society, when in fact, a lot of us are grown up. We're having kids, we're getting married, we have good jobs, careers, we're productive members of society. And then something happens that sets back all of us 10 years. And frankly, pisses me off. Now, this is what's happened with this recent Jennifer Hepler story. Now, I'm not mad at Jennifer by any means. She is a writer for BioWare. And what recently happened, now there's an interview she did 5 or 6 years ago. She did it back in 2006. And part of this was she was talking about how not everybody has time to sit down and really get invested in 60, 70, 80, 100-hour video games. And while a lot of games have a skip cutscene button, more games should have maybe a skip combat button. And the reaction was horrifying. People were calling her all sorts of horrible names, assaulting her gender, assaulting her size. She's not a skinny woman. I'm overweight too. I think the vast majority of gamers are probably fatties. But they somehow felt the need to do this and to just assault her and say that she's a cancer to the gaming industry. It's called a game. Okay? It's all about having a good time. It's all about enjoying the game as best you see fit. Adding a skip combat button doesn't lessen your experience of the game if you actually want to play that combat. I don't care what she said. There's no reason to attack her like that. But let's just be very clear about the things that she's saying. She's not taking away your gaming experience. And I see people have these visceral, horrible reactions all the time. And it makes us look like horrible, atrocious shut-ins that some people still like to think that we are. With Mass Effect 3, for instance, has this role-playing setting and then a story setting and a combat setting, and people are just up in arms. Or the fact that they're adding a multiplayer. Here's the thing. You can still play it just the way you've played the first two. And as long as that multiplayer doesn't take away from the first player, you have nothing to complain about. Okay? Even if it did, you still don't really have much to complain about. It's just a game. Video games, that's always in there. It's an entertainment property. It's about having fun. And it's about the most people having as much fun as possible. Okay? If you don't like a game, go play something else. There are hundreds of wonderful games that come out every single year. If you don't like one, go play another. Stop bitching and move on. And especially you don't assault people like this verbally or in any other way. It's inhuman, it's wrong, and it makes the rest of us look bad, okay? Stop it. Go and be a dick in private. Don't air out your dirty laundry. Don't put it out in the public light like that and make us all look bad. Just stop. All right? Okay. Enough of my soapbox and this video. We'll see you next time.